The conference room door swung shut behind me, sealing in the weight of expectations. I had exactly 1 hour before the client arrived. Flawless execution or professional oblivion. My reflection in the polished glass table stared back. Tie straight, but the role demanded more. A new presentation, feminine and commanding for this pitch. No room for half measures. I slipped into the private suite, heart pounding. The mirror waited, unforgiving. Layers of who I was versus who I needed to be. Time to calibrate. The fabric called from the rack. Silk blouse, pencil skirt, heels that would shift everything. Failure wasn't an option. This was a rival.
I arrived at the office that morning like any other, coffee in hand, ready for the routine grind of strategy sessions. But the email from my boss hit as I settled at my desk. Critical pivot for the 2 p.m. client meeting. You're leading as Alexis. Full feminine protocol. No discussion. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a drill. It was the big one. The merger that could make or break the firm. I'd trained for competence in shadows, late nights practicing in my apartment. But execution under scrutiny? That was uncharted. The desire burned to command the room, to own the presentation like I'd always known I could. Yet fear clawed at the edges. Exposure, judgment from colleagues who'd only seen the button-down version of me. One slip, and the whispers would follow. Professional ruin wasn't hyperbole. This client demanded poise, authenticity, someone who could navigate identity as smoothly as market trends. I bolted for the executive suite, the one with the private changing area reserved for high-stakes prep. The door clicked shut, and I exhaled. First protocol, wardrobe triage. The rack held options curated for this exact scenario. Pieces selected for authority, not flash. I scanned them. The navy pencil skirt, knee length, structured to hug without restricting. The silk blouse in soft ivory, collar crisp for boardroom edge. No frills, just silhouette that projected control. My fingers traced the fabrics first. The skirt's wool blend felt substantial, grounding, like armor against the chaos inside. I stepped into it, the zipper rising smooth up my back. A small victory. The blouse followed, buttons fastening with deliberate care. Each one aligned the seams perfectly, the silk whispering against my skin. Cool and insistent. It wasn't just clothing. It was the mandate made tangible, forcing my shoulders to square, my posture to elongate. But the heels, they were the pivot. 3 inches, black leather, pointed toe. I slid my feet in, the arch immediate, tilting my world forward. Balance shifted. Steps would need to be measured, hips swaying just enough to own the space. I took a trial pace across the suite's carpet. Too stiff at first, like walking on stilts. But then the rhythm caught. Heel, toe, deliberate. Each click echoing my resolve. Internal tension coiled tighter. I wanted this competence, the seamless blend of strategy and self that could seal the deal. But exposure loomed. What if my voice cracked? Or a colleague probed too deep? The mirror confirmed the outline. Silhouette commanding. Blouse tucked to accentuate without overstatement. Yet my face remained unpainted, unframed. Time pressed. 30 minutes gone. I sat at the vanity, pulling out the kit. Foundation for even tone, a neutral lipstick to define without distracting. The brush strokes were clinical, each layer building the presentation. Eyes next, subtle liner to sharpen, mascara to lift. My reflection evolved,
The man fading into Alexis, competent and poised. The fear didn't vanish, but it narrowed, channeled into focus. As the clock ticked past the halfway mark, the real calibration beckoned. Voice drills waited, then gait refinement. The suite's door would open soon to the hallway, colleagues milling. No turning back. This inciting shift wasn't just clothes. It was the clash resolved in motion. I stood, smoothed the skirt, felt the fabric's weight anchor me. Protocol 1 complete. Now, deeper execution. Voice came next. I stood in front of the mirror, lips parting slightly. The drill started simple. Repeat the pitch opener, low and steady. Ladies and gentlemen, our strategy positions us for unprecedented growth. My natural tone edged too deep, too masculine for Alexis. I pitched it higher, modulating through the vowels, letting the words flow like silk over gravel. Again. The resonance settled in my chest, lighter, controlled. Poise demanded this, professional, unyielding, matching the skirt's structure. Sweat beaded at my temples. Panic flickered, the old fear of cracking under questions. But a pulse of curiosity stirred, warm in my veins. What if this voice unlocked the room? What if it silenced the doubts? I leaned into it, recording snippets on my phone, playback sharpening the edges. Softer consonants, breathier pauses. The reflection nodded back, approving. Initial terror ebbed. This was calibration, not chaos. Pronouns followed. The boundary line I couldn't afford to blur. Rehearsal meant integration, seamless. As Alexis, I'll lead this merger. No hesitation, no stumble. I scripted responses. She brings expertise to the table. Her vision aligns perfectly. The words hung in the air, testing. They felt foreign at first, a script etched in unfamiliar ink. But repetition grounded them. I paced the suite, heels clicking softly, embedding the phrases. Refer to me as she. It's protocol. Firm, without apology. Exposure risked judgment, but competence required ownership. The mirror caught my eye, lips moving with intent. No flinch. That pulse of curiosity grew, overriding the knot in my gut. This wasn't erasure. It was precision. I'd chosen this path, in shadows, late nights mapping the shift. Now, under the clock's pressure, it sharpened into strategy. Voice and boundaries intertwined, a dual protocol fortifying the presentation. One wrong pronoun, and the client might sense fracture. But executed right, it wove authenticity into authority. Physical pivot demanded movement. The heels already altered everything, arching my back, shifting weight forward. I crossed the room again, deliberate steps. Too wide at first, echoing the old stride. No. The gait protocol called for economy, hips swaying just enough to balance, skirts swishing lightly against thighs. Each pace forced recalibration. Knees together, toes pointed. Rhythm like a metronome. The carpet muffled the clicks, but in the hallway, hard wood would amplify. I paused at the suite's full-length mirror, side profile assessing. Posture elongated, shoulders relaxed yet squared. The blouse's silk pulled taut with the lift, heels demanding core engagement. It felt impossible at first, like relearning gravity. But then the pivot clicked, steps fluid, presence expanded. Curiosity surged again, a heat loosening tension in my neck.
This body, reframed, moved with purpose. No more slouch. Alexis commanded space.
Minutes slipped away. Voice drills looped thrice more, pronouns scripted into crisis responses. If questioned, affirm, she, her, full commitment. The emotional shift solidified. Panic's grip loosened, replaced by focused drive. I smoothed the skirt one last time, fabric cool under palms. Calibration neared end, protocols layered like armor. But the door loomed, hallway beyond carrying voices of colleagues. A confrontation waited, unscripted. Protocol complete, yet the real test beckoned. The suite door opened to the hallway's hum. Colleagues' voices low, footsteps echoing off marble floors. I stepped out, heels clicking deliberate on the tile. Gate protocol held. Small steps, hips balanced, skirt brushing thighs with each shift. No rush, no retreat. The conference room waited at the end, glass walls revealing shadows inside. My pulse steadied. Calibration locked in. Voice ready. Boundaries set. This was execution. I pushed through the double doors. 5 faces turned. Colleagues from strategy, their suits crisp against the room's walnut panels. Mark from finance leaned back, arms crossed. Sarah from legal tapped her pen. And Elena, my mentor, sat at the head, her gaze sharp but neutral. "Alexis," Elena said, nodding once. No surprise, no probe. The others followed, slower. Mark's brow furrowed. "Ready for the pitch?" His tone carried skepticism, eyes scanning my silhouette. The blouse's silk, skirt's line. I took my seat, crossing legs at the knee, posture straight from the heel's demand. Fully prepared. The words came out modulated, light resonance. They nodded, papers shuffling. But the gate had pested first. Entering felt like a runway under scrutiny. Mark's stare lingered on my steps, as if measuring authenticity. No comments, but the air thickened. Skepticism hung, unspoken. They'd seen the email, knew the pivot. My role as Alexis wasn't secret, but execution under their eyes, that demanded proof. The client arrived early, 10 minutes ahead of schedule. Door swung open, and in walked Mr. Harlan. Silver hair, suit tailored sharp. His team flanked him. 2 associates, notebooks ready. Handshakes circled the table. Mine firm, palm dry despite the coil in my chest. "Alexis leading today," Elena introduced. Harlan's eyes met mine, assessing. No warmth, just calculation. We settled, projector humming to life. My turn came fast. Open the pitch. Our strategy integrates seamless market entry. Voice held steady, pitched just right. Vowels smooth. Slides advanced. Charts rising, projections bold. Colleagues chimed in. Sarah on legal angles, Mark on numbers. Harlan nodded, but his gaze fixed on me during transitions. Then the complication hit. An unplanned question from his associate, a young woman with glasses. "Alexis, how does your background inform this risk assessment?" Direct, probing. My throat tightened. Vocal inconsistency threatened, tone dipping low under pressure. The room stilled. I recalled the crisis script, internal strategy firing. Breathe first, in through nose, out slow. Pivot without falter. My experience in high volatility sectors shaped this model. I lifted the pitch, adding breath to the end. Softer, controlled. No crack. Harlan leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Deeper authenticity demanded now. His gaze intensified, searching for fracture. Was the modulation real or mask? The associate pressed. "Specifics on past deals?" Escalation built.
One weak link, and trust eroded. Sweat traced my spine under the blouse. Perfectionism surged, every word a potential slip. But self-trust anchored. This was protocol, layered for scrutiny. I detailed a prior merger, voice weaving facts with poise. The integration yielded 15% growth, despite headwinds. Harlan's expression shifted, subtle. Interest, not doubt. Yet the strain peaked. Colleagues' glances flicked my way, testing. Then the revelation. Elena's subtle affirmation. Her foot tapped once under the table, our signal from training sessions. Coded. You're holding. It eased the knot, a quiet reinforcement. Her eyes met mine briefly, nod imperceptible, but there. Mentor to navigator, validating the path. The pitch flowed on, Harlan engaging now, questions turning collaborative. Success partial. We'd bridge the gap, but immersion waited. The core close demanded full protocol under fire, no room for partials. As Harlan's team reviewed slides, the real depth beckoned. Negotiations would test every layer. Voice, gait, boundaries. Partial win. But the pitch's heart loomed, pulling me deeper. The projector clicked off, and Harlan leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. Impressive outline, Alexis. Now, the real meat. How do we execute under volatility? His voice cut sharp, pulling me into the pitch's core. All protocols integrated now. Voice modulated light. Gait ready for any rise from the table. I nodded, standing smooth. Heels anchoring, skirts wool firm against my legs. Volatility demands layered contingencies, I began, circling to the whiteboard. Steps measured, hips shifting just enough to balance the sway. Colleagues watched. Elena's gaze steady, Mark's skeptical flick. I uncapped the marker, drawing quick lines, risk matrices branching like veins. Here, market dips trigger our hedge. The words flowed, breath controlled, pronouns seamless. She anticipates shifts, positioning us ahead. Scrutiny pressed from all sides. Harlan's associates jotted notes, their eyes tracing my movements. The blouse's silk catching light as I gestured, emphasizing points. No room for fracture. Every gesture reinforced competence. The air in the room thickened, charged with the deal's weight. One integrated protocol faltered, and the merger slipped. But then the failure hit, minor yet slicing. As I turned back to the table, my hand brushed the skirt's hem, catching the zipper tab. It snagged, pulling fabric askew just above the knee. A small bunch, visible under the conference lights. The room's hum paused. Sarah's pen stopped mid-note. Heat rushed my face, self-doubt spiraling inward. Was this the crack? The presentation crumbling from a seam? My mind raced. Exposure in the wardrobe itself, the silhouette fracturing under their gaze. Perfectionism roared. How could I lead if the basics slipped? Harlan's brow arched, subtle but there. I froze for a beat, pulse hammering. The spiral deepened, colleagues seeing not Alexis, but the man behind. The hesitation raw. But protocol kicked in. Micro drill for self-regulation. Breathe. In slow through the nose, counting 4. Out through mouth, releasing tension. Focus narrowed to the sensation, the wool's texture under my palm as I smoothed it discreetly. Recentered, I pivoted. As you see, even contingencies adapt on the fly. Voice lifted, light and assured, drawing eyes back to the board. The slip vanished, unspoken. Elena caught it, her quiet support threading through. She shifted in her seat, foot tapping our signal again, twice now, affirming hold. No words, just that glance. Measured. Knowing. It reinforced the resolve building inside, a quiet anchor amid the scrutiny. Her presence recalled training sessions, her voice steady. Execution isn't perfection, it's presence. The interpersonal dynamic steadied me. Ally in the room, validating the navigation without fanfare. Doubt's spiral broke. I reclaimed the space, heels clicking once as I resumed my seat.
Stakes heightened with every exchange. Harlan pressed harder. And if competitors undercut your personal stake in this, the deal hinged here. Sustained feminine competence under fire. One vocal dip, one hesitant boundary, and trust eroded. But I leaned in, elbows on the table, blouse's collar framing my resolve. My commitment mirrors the firm's. Full immersion yields results. Pronouns wove natural, she, her, in the strategy's fabric. Associates nodded. Mark even chimed in, backing my figures. The air shifted, collaboration edging out skepticism. We delved deeper. Numbers flying. Projections debated. My protocols layered seamless. Gait fluid during a slide fetch. Voice breathy yet commanding in rebuttals. The minor slip faded, replaced by momentum. Harlan's intensity built, questions probing authenticity's core. Yet self-trust solidified. The presentation wasn't mask. It was strategy embodied. Elena's subtle nod sealed it, her support a silent reinforcement. As negotiations heated, Harlan's team huddled, whispers low. The close neared, but an unforeseen challenge arose. His lead associate stood, requesting a private sidebar. Eyes on me, the room's energy spiked. What pivot waited now? Harlan's lead associate, a sharp-eyed woman named Carla, rose from her chair. Alexis, a quick sidebar. Our security protocols require ID verification before finalizing sensitive docs. The room's energy crackled. This wasn't on the agenda. My pulse spiked. The merger files sat on the table, but now a checkpoint loomed, pulling us from the conference suite to the lobby's secure scan station. Elena's eyes flicked to mine, alert but steady. No choice. Protocols demanded it. I stood, heels clicking soft on the carpet, skirt smoothing under my hand. Of course, I said, voice modulated light. Inside, the interruption twisted like a knife. We filed out, Harlan's team leading, my colleagues trailing. The hallway stretched, marble floors amplifying each step. Gait held, deliberate, balanced, hips shifting just enough. But tension coiled in my chest. The ID in my wallet bore my legal name, the one from old records. Alexis was protocol, earned through calibration. But verification meant exposure. Balancing it now, seamless presentation against the hard stamp of identity. Carla glanced back, expectant. This way, her tone neutral but probing. The elevator dinged open. We stepped in, air thick with unspoken stakes. Down in the lobby, the security desk waited. Polished counter, guard in uniform scanning badges. Harlan swiped his first, clean. Then Carla, associates. My turn. Heart hammered as I pulled the wallet from the blouse's hidden pocket. The card slipped out. Legal name Stark. Photo from years ago, pre-shift. No time for swap. The protocol included this pivot. Prep for the mismatch. Alexis, the guard said, reading the badge Elena had prepped for the meeting. But the ID clashed. He frowned, cross-checking. Tension peaked here, raw under the lobby's fluorescent glare.
One wrong word and the deal fractured.
Perfectionism surged. That old drive to flawlessly align every layer. I'd calibrated for this voice, silhouette, boundaries, but the ID's truth stared back, unyielding. Emotional introspection hit hard. Was this the break? The fear of exposure, always lurking, now demanded yield. Perfection wasn't the goal. Raw self-trust was. I breathed deep, feeling the skirt's wool ground me, heels anchoring my stance. This vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was the core of execution. The guard's eyes met mine. Mismatch here. His voice low, questioning. Before I could respond, complication arose. Mark from finance, hovering nearby, piped up. Everything all right, Alex? His probing comment tested boundaries. The Alex, a slip. Intentional or not. Colleagues shifted. Harlan turned, brow arched. The line blurred. Legal name versus presentation. Colleagues' doubt amplifying the scan's glare. Heat rose in my neck, but protocol fired. Affirm without falter. She, her, full protocol, I said, voice steady, pitched light. Turned to the guard. Administrative update in process. Alexis is current. No apology, just fact. Mark blinked, stepping back. The boundary held. Line drawn crisp. The guard nodded, swiping the ID through anyway. System flagged, but cleared for the meeting's clearance code. Harlan's team waited, no questions voiced, but the air hummed with the test passed. Turning point crystallized. Execution flipped vulnerability to strength. The ID's clash didn't shatter, it forged. Self-trust bloomed, raw and real, overriding perfection's grip. I pocketed the card, silhouette intact, heels clicking as we returned to the elevator. Carla's glance held respect now, subtle. Emotional shift locked. This was navigation, not concealment. Back in the conference room, seats reclaimed, the negotiations reignited. Harlan leaned in, ready for the close. Resolution neared, protocols shining under the fire. But the final reveal awaited. The deal's seal, where authenticity would face its ultimate scrutiny. The conference room door clicked shut behind us, sealing the lobby's echo. Harlan settled into his chair, eyes locked on the merger docs spread across the table. Let's close this, Alexis. Final terms. Your vision on integration risks? His voice sliced direct, no buffer. The air thickened, charged with the deal's pulse. All eyes turned to me, colleagues poised, associates scribbling. Protocols layered now, voice light, silhouette firm in the skirt's wool, heels grounding my stance as I rose. This was the seal, high-pressure core where execution met fate. I circled the table, steps measured, hips shifting subtle to balance the sway. The blouse's silk pulled taut with the motion, a reminder of calibration's weight. Integration risks pivot on phased rollout, I said, tone breathy yet commanding, vowels elongated just enough. Marker in hand, I sketched the timeline on the board, lines branching clean, contingencies marked in red. Harlan leaned forward, brow furrowed. Phased how? Specifics under regulatory squeeze? Pressure mounted. One vague stroke and momentum cracked. But self-trust fired, raw from the ID pivot. Authenticity wasn't polish. It was presence. Fear yielding to flow. Sweat traced my spine, but I channeled it. Phase 1. Compliance lock-in.
she/her protocols mirroring our team's adaptability. Pronouns wove seamless. Boundaries affirmed without flinch. The room hummed. Sarah nodded from legal, Mark's skepticism easing into focus. Harlan's associate probed. And if audits hit early? Escalation peaked, his gaze drilling for fracture. I met it, heels anchoring, skirt's hem brushing thighs as I gestured. Audit contingencies embed here. Full disclosure yields 20% buffer. Voice held, light resonance cutting the tension. The board filled, strategy embodied in every line. No slips. Protocols shown. Feminine competence turning scrutiny to alliance. Harlan's expression shifted. Nod slow, decisive. That seals it. He extended his hand across the table, firm grip meeting mine. The deal locked. Signatures flowed, pens scratching paper in rhythm. Internal payoff hit like release, authenticity triumphant, fear's shadow dissolving in the victory. This wasn't mask. It was me, Alexis, navigating the merge of self and strategy. The room exhaled, chairs scraping as congratulations circled. Elena's glance caught mine then, shared, validating. Her eyes held the path we'd mapped in shadows. Measured pride. No words needed. Mentor to navigator. Her subtle tilt confirmed the execution's truth. We filed out to the lobby, Harlan's team trailing with handshakes. The merger secured, but loose ends waited in the post-meeting debrief. Elena pulled me aside in the hallway, voice low. Flawless under fire. The ID pivot? That was raw strength. Her words solidified it. Confidence blooming, not fragile. I smoothed the blouse. Fabric cool now, tension uncoiled. It felt like arrival, I replied, heels echoing softer on marble. Colleagues passed nods, no probes. The presentation had rewritten the room's script. Boundaries held, voice integrated. Newfound poise anchoring every step. Back in the suite, door shut, the unwind began. Skirt unzipped first, wool pooling at my feet. Blouse unbuttoned, silk folding meat. Heels slipped off, arches easing. But the shift lingered internal, posture retained, gait's rhythm etched. Debrief notes scribbled. Voice drills refined, boundary scripts sharpened. Confidence wasn't fleeting. It solidified here, in the quiet audit. Fear of exposure? Transformed to fuel. Authenticity's edge. Yet growth foreshadowed more. This merger was one high-stakes evolution. Others loomed. Board presentations, client travels. Protocols would adapt, layers deepening. I glanced at the mirror one last time. Silhouette fading, but Alexis enduring. The execution wasn't end. It was launch. Ongoing navigation through identity's volatile markets. The suite's quiet wrapped around me as the last echoes of the hallway faded. I lingered at the mirror, fingers tracing the vanity's edge. Unwind protocol started slow. Earrings unclasped first. The light weight lifting from lobes. A small release. Then the necklace. Pearls cool against my collarbone sliding away. Each removal peeled layers. But the internal shift clung. Posture still elongated from the heels. Voice's resonance humming in my throat. The skirt lay folded now. Blouse draped beside it. Yet the silk's whisper lingered on skin. A ghost of the day's charge. I sat on the bench, wiping makeup with precise strokes, foundation dissolving under cotton, revealing the day's flush beneath. Eyes met my own in the glass, no longer framed sharp, but softer, carrying the weight of what we'd navigated. Fear of exposure had shadowed every step, every modulated word, whispering of fractures under scrutiny. Colleagues' glances, Harlan's probes, the ID's stark clash. They all tested that edge. But here, in the unwind's hush, it transformed. No longer a specter, it became empowered certainty, a foundation forged in the fire. I'd owned the room, not despite the shift, but through it. Alexis wasn't facade. She was the strategy executed, fear alchemized into fuel. That core conflict resolved in waves, introspection pulling threads tight. Perfectionism had driven the calibration, every seam, every vowel calibrated for flawlessness. Yet vulnerability in the lobby, the boundary affirmed amid the probe, yielded something deeper, self-trust unshakable. It wasn't survival's scramble. It was arrival. The merger of identities seamless as the deal we'd sealed. The pulse of curiosity from earlier drills now bloomed full, heat spreading through chest, loosening remnants of tension. I stood, bare feet on cool tile, feeling the absence of heels yet retaining the deliberate sway. This body, this voice, they integrated now. No clash. Practical takeaways surfaced in the debrief's quiet, a viewer checklist etching clear for future navigations. First, wardrobe triage always. Select for authority, fabrics that ground like the wool did today. Feel their weight before stepping out. It anchors. Second, voice modulation drill. 3 reps minimum. Recording playback to catch inconsistencies. Pitch higher. Breathe through pauses. Turns pressure to poise. Third, boundary scripts prepped. Pronouns owned without apology. She, her. Full protocol. Rehearse in mirrors. Embed in crisis responses. Fourth, gate refinement under time. Heels force the pivot, but practice shifts hips to command, not compensate. And self-regulation microdrill. 4-count breath when slips hit. Recenter on sensation, like smoothing that snagged hem. Escalation plan. Layer protocols. Start with silhouette. Build to integration. For your own high-stakes moments, calibrate early. Fear transforms when executed deliberate. The introspection deepened as I gathered the kit, zipping it shut. This wasn't erasure of the man who'd entered the suite. It was evolution. The navigator claiming full terrain. Exposure's fear? Now certainty's edge, sharpening every future pitch. I'd wanted competence, and execution delivered. Not just the deal, but the self beneath. The mirror reflected it. Face bare, but eyes steady. Silhouettes echo in stance. Arrival felt solid. Internal compass realigned. Protocolor weren't chains. They were wings, launching into ongoing evolutions. One merger down. The boardroom, the travels. They called next. I exhaled, the suite's air lighter now. This was the payoff. Empowered. Certain. Ready. The suite door clicked shut behind me. Transformed silhouette fading into hallway shadow. No going back.
If you want more high-stakes navigation like this, subscribe and hit the bell for the next protocol.